We're Batman at 89.
Hello, and welcome back once again to Batman at 89, where we all hail the new king in town, and also analyze Tim Burton's 1989 Batman film 1 minute at a time. I am one of the hosts, Niall McGowan.
I am His Purple Majesty, John Parker.
My Purple Majesty. What? What are you talking about?
I am just the Purple Majesty.
The Purple Majesty. All right, that makes more sense.
Hey, his makes perfect sense. It was a capital letter on the his.
Yeah, I just wasn't expecting it, so I was like, what the hell? Where's going with this?
I'm a wild card.
But once again, we're joined for the final time this week by other Movies by Minute alum, Heidi Bennett.
Hey, hey, hey.
Whoop.
And today we're on minute 60. We're an hour in. We made it.
We've done it. Yes. Woo.
And then you're like, oh, we must be nearly done. Nope.
No. I thought we were at least halfway, but we're not halfway. There's longer.
Next week we'll be halfway, I think.
Yeah.
In minute 60, oh, that's a doozy of a minute.
Oh, yeah.
It begins with the ominous silence as someone surveys his fallen prey. It ends 1 minute later with our old friend Mac McDonald. Oh, no, it's not Mac McDonald. It's one of the Joker's many goons, admiring a Rembrandt, but hopefully not about to do anything to it. So,
oh, absolutely not. But we also do end with a new king in town.
Yeah.
Baby.
Yeah, I suppose we might as well just get stuck in.
Well, you say that I've been waiting for this moment since we started this show. I'm really excited. I'm shaking.
It's like after this minute, John's off. He's leaving the show, and then he's like, I just want to do this bit. And then now you can screw the rest of the film. I don't care. Yeah, so we get the calm before the storm, I guess, really. You know, the doors open, and we get shots of, once again, people all lying in very arranged-looking, sort of fallen, dead, or unconscious, or whatever. It doesn't look, you know, like, oh, it's legitimately someone's fallen over. Like, it's just more like someone's lying down pretending that they're unconscious or whatever.
Well, what do you look like unconscious, eh?
But it's just more because it's like most of them are face down, and it's just all very dignified looking. Some people have been like lying splayed. But just,
yeah. One of them still holding his book, you know. That seems... I like the one who's down at the bottom of the stairs. I guess he finally made it, and his legs are still up. You know, it's really good.
That's my favorite bit of this minute, other than the obvious part, is that guy's legs are just absolutely absurd. There is no way they would be held like that. But I think that confirms that they can't be dead. They've got to be unconscious. Because, you know, if he was dead, his legs would have flopped all over the place. Rigor mortis hasn't set in yet, surely.
Yeah.
Come on.
That's not even so much that he's unconscious. That's almost like he's conscious. Because it's like, you'd have to put in effort to keep your legs up like that. Like, that's very much, like, you don't fall down and your legs just stay like that. Like, that's, you're holding them up. Unless this is this guy's story. It's like, oh, I'm just going to pretend that I'm out too, just in case something happens. But...
That's a good tactic, I think. That is a good plan. And also, I think if you passed out stood up on this lovely marble floor, there's going to be a lot of head injuries. Like, there's a shocking lack of blood.
Yes. Yes. This looks more to me like, and maybe, John, you can comment on this with Drusilla, but what different ways cats can be prone in a sleep position. You know, these could be many different ways that cats and dogs sleep with their legs akimbo and strewn about.
They will lay in every single position other than the one that you think would be comfortable, basically. and in random locations of the house as well.
Every which way but loose, basically.
But loose.
Minute.
Coming soon.
I'm sure everything's getting one now, so yeah, probably.
That's our hiatus project now. No, I'm not that twisted to do another one of these in the hiatus.
We're not, was it Gary Roby doing like, in between Harry Potter films, I'm going to do Ferris Bueller. It's like, dude, give yourself a break, would you? Come on.
We're saying this for your own health, Gary. Rest.
But also come on to our show as well if you got a minute free. But yeah, as I say, because we get a few shots of different bodies there, like as Heidi is saying, fellow holding his book, but he's obviously very carefully placed his glasses a couple of inches in front of him there, make sure he doesn't break them.
Well, one thing I did think though about this shot that was quite serious, despite the lack of blood, when you see this from the elevator there, I thought it looked kind of like the aftermath that you get in a movie after like a gangster attack, after they've come in and Tommy gunned people.
Yeah.
Like the way it's just an eerie silence. There's a sort of smoke hanging and they're all laid around in strange poses. It looks like, Al Capone's come in and shot the place up or something.
Yeah. I guess I get theory, because this is Gotham's new answer to Al Capone, kind of in its own way, yeah. Again, I was just going to say several times throughout, there's a new king in town. But, I will note here as well, like, still quite a bit of this smoke in the air. And these guys, we now revealed, of course, it's the Joker. It was him the whole time. It's like,
my God.
what a twist. And get him and his goons nonchalantly kind of like, oh, yep, that's the job done. I think I'd still be a bit like, I guess you might want to give that a couple of minutes, guys, because, it could be like they'll be in the middle of this frenzy, and then one of them just keels over dead as well. It's like, oh, yeah, probably should have given that a second, but
maybe he's made them all immune to it. He's been conditioning them by dunking them in tanks of this stuff, every day, training them, keeping them awake 1 minute longer.
It'll be like, was it The Princess Bride? Was it the weird poison that him and Wallace Shawn have the exchange, and then he drinks the poison, and it's like, oh, you drank the poison shots, maha. It's like, well, you don't know that I've actually been built up an immunity by slowly ingesting that my entire life, and all this stuff. But yeah, of course, we get the Joker here in his very fine new hat, which we were supposing may have been based on many of the women's hats we've seen on the streets of Gotham, because it seems to be quite in vogue in the city at the minute, this kind of floppy hat. But I think he's going more for like an artist's thing, as we'll see what comes up later on. We won't get into that.
Niall, it's artiste.
Oh. He's got his flesh-colored makeup back on, and you'll notice there the tufts, the hair is brown as well. He's gone all out this time.
Yeah.
Well, I did that actually back with Ratelli as well. What am I talking about? But
I had a question about that, guys. I don't understand what is his psychology behind whether because he's dressed very eccentrically, right? He's got a billion colors on, and like you mentioned, his hat is like a artiste's hat, but just huge and floppy, and then all
silk,
the gloves, and and the everything. But then his makeup and hair is done so that it looks
like he's
less jokery. So why does he hide that sometimes, and then other times he's in full white and green splendor?
Well, I think in this instance, this specific one, it's because he's trying to come in and make a show for Vicki and woo Vicki. I think he wants to be quirky and eccentric, but not a completely deformed freak. So even though it's kind of hard to hide it, he's trying to hide the face thing and the skin.
He still is doing like a kind of terrible job of hiding it as well. But
that
could be potentially, though. That's why he didn't just flat out kill the people, though. It's like, oh, well, that'd freak her out if they were dead. But I was like, oh, she won't freak out if I come in and destroy all these paintings and look like a weirdo. But if she saw my clownish, normal face, even though you can still see the big rictus grin, which is kind of the most horrifying part of the whole thing, really.
Well, he's tried to cover it, to be fair to him. He's given it a shot.
So this is more like fancy plumage in a mating ritual sort of a thing, but not... Yeah, okay. So like he's peacocking, but he's not going... Yeah, okay. I'm getting it all together here.
And I think he wants her to see his personality come through. Because he is quite a strange guy, and I think he thinks that'll appeal.
Yeah.
Which it does. It's appealed to me.
Then, of course, he has the rest of the goons. This is the first time I really noticed that... so we get, again, a return of our good friend Lawrence. the goon with his tune, with the beatbox there in the background. Radio Raheem, the Gotham's answer to Radio Raheem.
Well, I have a question about Lawrence though. Is he wearing a dog collar?
That's what I was gonna.
Like a priest?
I was gonna get to. Like, yeah, it looks like him and the other goon, Richard Strange. I'm not gonna bring up Richard Strange this minute because there's a lot to talk about with him. I'll leave him for another time because he's got a history, that the other goon. But it really strikes you here that it's like, oh yeah, this is like they're dressed as priests or something. Or is this like the Joker had another kind of like, oh, like a plan B? Maybe I might pretend to be like a reverend or something, and you guys can be my backup priests. And then like he changed his mind at the last minute, and it's like, no, we're going with the artist business now. And they're like, oh well, just put on the jacket and hope she doesn't notice.
Well, another thing I really liked as it pulls out the camera, we see Bob, yet again, lovely Bob, and Bob once more has his notebook. He's got the notebook out and he's scribbling in it. Is this his new gimmick? Is this his thing?
He had like a checklist or something of things to like make sure gas people, open door. Yep, we're caught up.
I was wondering about that too, because it's definitely each one of these goons has their job or their thing that they're carrying or their something that's defining them, and it definitely seems like that. So you're saying he's done this in other minutes? He's had his notebook out?
I think it could be almost. It wouldn't surprise me if there was like an idea that like he's chronicling the Joker's asked him to, like, much like he's going to ask Vicki to, like, you're going to help me cover my work and photograph me, and we're going to be in the new avant-garde and all the stuff we'll talk about next week. Maybe he said to Bob, can you, like, just chronicle what I'm doing, and then we'll release this into the world as, like, the great artist, the Joker. Here is his story. And, you know, it wouldn't surprise me because he is so incredibly narcissistic that he would be like that. Like, yeah, you write about me. And make sure you write down everything I said, and like so it's all there for posterity. So the truth, the true story will prevail and stuff. But that's all, you know, stuff we just have to kind of assume because it's not in the film, I guess. But
I would love to see someone make a comic book now, telling it from that side. It's Bob's tale of the Joker, you know, from within.
I think we've covered our love of Bob several times in the show.
I love Bob, and I know you guys have talked a little bit about his quote-unquote quotables, like right cheer and make them bounce. But to me, when I see Tracy Walter, I automatically think of shrimp plate and plate of shrimp from Repo Man. And I think last time we spoke when you all were guests on Spinal Tap Minute, and I apologize, I can't remember, seemed at that point that one of you had watched that movie.
Yes, I have not seen it. I have seen the scene you're talking about, but I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. It's on my to-do list. Everyone tells me I will love this movie.
Particularly good now because unfortunately the recent passing of Harry Dean Stanton, Repo Man's kind of in the air now. It's like, if you're going to watch it anytime, now's the time to savor it.
Now's the time. But he certainly has been in a lot of really iconic and cool movies. Yeah, I mean, Tracy.
He's in the infamous camel punching scene in Conan as well. He's beside Arnie. Like, Tracy, if Tracy Walter was just taking notes on all of these things, that'd be great. Just like he's gone through the ages, like, oh, right, and then Arnie said this, and then he punched a camel, and it was awesome.
So, are we suggesting he's the same character in all of these movies?
Yes.
And he's just chronicling his life? He's an immortal.
He's like the Stan Lee of every other movie. Like Tracy Walter is the Stan Lee of Tracy Walter movies.
And I noticed he's even been in WKRP in Cincinnati, and that's one of my favorite podcasts. Chronicles every episode of WKRP in Cincinnati.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
So there's always and of course you guys have probably covered a lot of other things he's been in, but Married to the Mob is one of my favorites, and I'm sure you probably mentioned that he was again with Jack and the Two Jakes.
Yep, yeah.
He was in Wild at Heart, City Slickers, Silence of the Lambs, all sorts of good stuff. So I mean, this guy's career has just been very consistent in a lot of really famous movies. Good stuff.
What a guy.
He is
What a
like
guy.
if we could get anyone from this film on the show, like it's even like it was like, oh, you want to go for like Jack? It's like, no, not so much. I really like Tracy Walter because it seems like I don't know, Jack, you'd have to make it all about him, but Tracy Walter, he seems like he'd be more like, oh, I'll give you stories about everybody because I know everybody and I've been in all this stuff.
Yeah.
So it seems like
he's been taking notes along the way.
yeah,
It appears.
apparently, yeah.
Well, when you said Jack there, it takes me back to the minute because the former Jack Napier shouts out one of his most famous lines now. One of my favorite things in the movie. Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
It gives Lawrence his cue as well.
Yeah, so I assume from that they're going to have a nice, classy evening, right? Yeah, cool.
I was going to sit like, oh, this Rembrandt, the golden hue really brings out the eyes and the...
Well, he's brought along candles. You know, he's looking for a pleasant evening.
I will say, because there's a lot of things that catch your eye just in the next couple of seconds. But again, with the goon between Bob and the Joker, the goon Richard Strange, the kind of tall guy, I can't take my eyes off him because he's got this really gurning grin going on. He looks like he's having the time of his life. This guy in this scene. If anyone is more excited than the Joker to be doing this, it seems like it's him. Like he's.
Yeah, and he looks like he's ready to break dance too. Like he's got his little beret on, and he kind of reminds me of somebody you'd see like that would just throw some cardboard down and be swirling about on the ground.
Well, it's the perfect era for it, really.
It's the perfect scene for it as well, to be fair.
Well, then we get some music, some incredible music, some beautiful music. It's finally here, folks. The Partyman is in town.
I do love as well.
Yes.
And this is the thing, I'll note again later on in the film when it happens again. We get, because everyone starts to break out into a little bit of a shuffle when we get the opening notes of like the and all that. And then you see a little bit of Bob sort of swaying from side to side. And you see later on in the movie, like, Bob is full on like dad dancing. Like he's like the lamest dancer in the world. But he's like, two scenes, you gotta bust out some moves, Tracy. It's like, all right, this is the best he had. But this kind of little, this little bit of bobbing. Literally bobbing.
Nobody's doing great dancing here except for maybe the Joker. Everybody else seems to be dancing to the beat of several different drummers.
Well, that's the thing. Like, throughout the rest of the minute, we have "Partyman" by Prince playing. Everyone remembers this, but
yes.
I wonder because Prince started making the soundtrack for this in I think what are the exact dates, because this film shot from October 88 to January 89, and Prince started recording the soundtrack in February and March of 89. So they were presumably dancing to something different. And I know that he
absolutely correct as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, so when he signed up, I think they said that they were originally planning to use it somewhere in the film for the soundtrack. 200 Balloons and 1999. I'm guessing maybe it was in here.
It could be, although Prince did, as far as I know, he did have the backing track already locked away in his mysterious vault because he basically retooled a bunch of his other stuff for this. Not that he just used songs he had already done, demos and stuff. He took what he already had, adapted it, changed it, put new lyrics to it and things. So he did, he put a lot of work in. But he may have already had the beat. But that wouldn't explain anything because, as you say, they're all doing something completely different.
I do like the idea on set that it was like it was something completely different playing. It was just like Born to Be Wild or friggin' like the theme tune to Taxi or something was playing. Like, it's just... because I did notice that the Joker dancing around with his goons is a visual you get several times in the comics. It notably happened in The Killing Joke, came out around the same time. But apparently, there's also an issue called The Last Ha Ha, where the Joker sings his own version of Zippity Doo Dah while dancing to celebrate the death of one of his victims. And then he and his henchmen also dance in There's No Business Like Show Business in Sherlock Stalks the Joker, which is like,
Oh,
wait, we're gonna what? Sherlock stalks the Joker? What the hell? But
that intrigued me instantly. Why have the BBC not made this? Come on.
But I do like it because it could have been like anything from like the friggin' anything else from the Easy Rider soundtrack. It could have been like If You Wanna Be a Bird, just like really terrible, a really horrible country song playing or something. It's like, nah, Jack wants to dance to this, so we gotta stick on friggin'. It'll be so he's like, oh, he brought like what albums have we got to hand? Like Joni Mitchell. I don't know. It's like, do something with it. Stick it on anywhere. Or it could be, maybe it was done in a reshoot when they actually had Partyman to hand.
Yeah. Well, I love the lyrics as well, but I don't understand how they're all supposed to apply to the Joker. Like, I get that he's meant to be kind of flamboyant. But for instance, it says, "All hail, the new king in town. Young and old, gather round." Yeah. Black and white, red and green. Funky. The funkiest man you've ever seen. Black and white, red and green?
Like,
what?
I kind of get, because that's... Well, we get to that later on. It's when the shot of Mac McDonald painting the bust. I tried to find what that bust was, and I think it's just like that's generic bust of a guy's head. I thought it looked a bit like it was an old Roman haircut, so it could have been maybe it's a bust of Caesar or something, and that would make sense. Like, oh, he's
doesn't look like him.
But that bugged me as a kid because I get the white, red, and green. It's like, oh, red lips, green hair, white skin, and then the black is like Joker doesn't have anything black on him. Like ever.
No.
It's just like it's just literally like Prince is like, what? I recorded it in like 6 weeks. What do you want from me? You know, I had to do a whole album's worth of stuff in no time at all. I mean, come on. So he's just you got a song, didn't you? Come on, leave me alone.
Well, to be honest as well, the lyrics take a very strange turn and completely, in Prince fashion, veer all the way away from Batman here. Because later on, there's a bit that's just the most Prince lyric you could possibly imagine, I would say. He says, "Ain't nothing but a muffin. We got a lot of butter to go. You say, A, and I like your way, but don't come now. And if it break when it bend, you better not put it in." It's like, what? What's this got to do with Batman?
Like Tim Burton looking at this, and like, we won't use that bit in the film. It's like it's cut off before then.
It's on my vinyl record.
It's just bizarre. What the? But,
good old Prince.
But yeah, I think in the album notes or something, because Prince, I think he's only credited as having sang 2 lines in the whole soundtrack because he's doing it in character. So like when it's Scandalous, I think he's Vicki Vale, and then he's the Joker or something like that, you know. But
it's supposed to be like that, but I get the impression that was just added after the fact, much after the fact, at the last minute, in fact.
It could have been like this is like, oh, I've had a lyric about like someone potentially like breaking a dick and then trying to go on. I'll work it in somewhere. Well, it could be like the Joker really likes his chances. And he's like, I'm just telling you now in advance for when you were bowled over by my fantastic performance here.
Well, I actually have some info on the song, though. I'm sure you might as well, so I apologize if I'm stealing your thunder. No, but I thought it was interesting. The song was nominated for the Grammy Award for Best Song Written for Visual Media, which is a very specific Grammy. So, yeah, I mean, is that but visual media? Does that just mean movies and all types of things like that?
I guess so. Yeah,
I'm assuming.
So. Well, it's kind of weird now, though, in the age of the music video, because the music video is visual as well, so... You could put anything in that category, really. But...
Exactly, yeah, all of them. Well, it also became the only Batman single to perform better here in the UK than it did in the US. So, yes, result. It's our song.
Yeah, it's kind of shocking to me, that, because I think a lot of people, maybe who were like, there more at the time, might associate the film more with Bat Dance, because that was the big single. But like I think this is a way better song than Bat Dance. Bat Dance, I think.
Oh, I like this.
I don't really count Bat Dance much for anything. Maybe because I was too young at the time to sort of appreciate how it was permeated in culture. Maybe Heidi, like you might have seen, you know, you were around at the time. You could have been like, oh Christ, yeah, it was nonstop with Bat Dance for a while, or or did you really even notice the tidal wave of Prince that was coming your way at that point?
I mean, I was a huge fan of Prince, but I don't remember really being into the music from this movie. You know, but I mean, I love Prince. So he's a huge influence on me, but not particular to the movie. So yeah, I don't really remember.
Yeah.
Oh, you need to reappraise it. You've got to go back. We'll send you a copy. It's all beautiful work.
I did have a friend who wrote a song that I collaborated on with him that was Erotic City, but it was about Hello Kitty, and it was Erotic Kitty.
Well, we'll have to post that now.
That does sound, like imagine if Prince was still around, he's just like, can I do like a cover of that? Or it's like, who owns the legal rights to that work? So you're talking to someone, Heidi, like you're a huge Prince fan, watching this and being like, oh yeah, it's Prince, but it's not his best work. Because I did enjoy, a few weeks back, we had a guest on, Brierly, and she had never seen the film before. And she was completely unaware of like anything about it until she sat down and watched it like a couple of days before recording. And I remember she was saying in the middle of it, she was just like, wait a minute, is this Prince? And she, like, the guy she was with was like, yeah. And then like later on, I was like, is this Prince again? What the hell? Why is it Prince all over this film? It's like, no, Prince did the whole soundtrack. It was like a big deal and stuff. It is quite strange though that I'm sure both of you know that, like, oh well, in the rest of the films they did have tie-in singles, but they were nowhere near as prevalent as the Prince stuff, because they had Susie Sue for Batman Returns, and a bit more.
Oh, Susie, a bit
more with Seal and U2 and Batman Forever, and then the Smashing Pumpkins for Batman and Robin and stuff.
Oh, the Smashing Pumpkins, my Smashing Pumpkins.
That's a point of like, oh, that's Tim Burton's creative control, and that's, in the second one around, is he like, well, I'm getting Susie Sue in for this one. He didn't particularly want Prince involved with this one. That was kind of more of a studio mandate that him and Danny Elfman were both, a bit annoyed by.
Yeah, I mean, he was a fan of Prince, though. You have to point that out. He was a fan of Prince. That wasn't the problem.
Yeah, it's just more he just didn't want him shoehorn songs into the film and stuff.
Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, this minute's actually a good representation of why you might not, because the song ends up being one thing and they're all dancing to who knows what. So it doesn't really, I mean, it's a great song, but they don't look like they're connected to it at all when they're moving about the gallery.
As they go in to move about the gallery, though, because I do enjoy Jack Nicholson really going to town with this cane work.
Oh yeah.
This is like, that's
yeah.
impressive stuff right there. That's like, the only other cane work I've seen better is potentially Jim Carrey's in Batman Forever, when he's got that Riddler stick.
Maybe he was deliberately trying to one-up him.
It could have been. He's just like, yeah, Jack Nicholson twirling that cane. I can twirl a cane better than that. I was like, in Batman Forever, that's one of the best things in it. It's like that guy knows how to work that cane. And then as the Joker shimmies past the camera, once again, another great shot of Richard Strange with this beaming grin on his face. Kind of like,
look at him.
Getting really, they're all very excited looking.
They are. A for effort for all of them. They're all really putting in a lot of energy into this minute.
Yeah. And then we get the Joker enters the gallery proper, starting as he means to go on, the very petty, knocking over this little statue that's next to him, which is a bit of it's just kind of petty. It's just like, that's there. I'm just wrecking that.
Actually, I've just thought of something as well I didn't bring up. It was important about the song. Oh, jeez. I know. Right. Prince is a big Batman fan, which I found strange. I can't imagine Prince sat there reading Batman comics or anything, but apparently he's a big Batman fan. And Jack Nicholson was a fan of Prince, and he recommended Prince for this.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and Prince said he saw something of himself in Nicholson's portrayal of the Joker, which comes across.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And he says that Partyman was sparked, in these exact words, in fact, by their first in-person meeting. He says he just walked over, sat down and put his foot up on a table. Real cool, Prince told Rolling Stone. He had this attitude that reminded me of Morris Day.
Oh.
Apparently. And there was that song. It just came to him in a moment.
That just makes it now, because we've noted throughout the whole film, too, of Jack Napier's penchant for putting his feet up in tables and stuff when he's sitting down. Yeah. That's just like, that's Jack Nicholson. It's like, hey, I put my feet wherever I want, damn it. You know?
It explains everything that we've been doing for the past 60 minutes.
I've been like every day and said to people like, Jack, could you put your feet down? And you just got to glare at them. I'm like, all right, oh, yeah, sorry, Jack, sorry.
Well, I love, obviously, they're running around smashing all the statues, daubing on all the artworks, ruining / improving them. Depends what your point of view is. But Joker here says, give him a shave towards the portrait of Lincoln. Now, is he doing an English voice? What's this voice?
That's what it sounds like. No reason why. I don't know what.
No, it doesn't make sense. Lincoln wouldn't sound like that, so what's he doing?
It's like, is this some kind of Civil War thing? Is that what he's going for? I don't know what the hell. Why would he bring up an English accent? Doesn't make any sense. But...
No, because it's a proper, give him a shave.
Well, speaking of ruining / improving, this is the spot where I had a couple of little funny things that I wanted to share with you guys.
Oh yeah, go for it.
So we talked a little bit earlier in another minute about, yuppies or people in the 80s, kind of 80s yuppies, and also the galleries, how they can be sort of stuffy and upper crust and all that stuff. Yeah. And so what I looked at was what art critics thought of this whole scene back in the day. And it was really funny because there's these two kind of really pretentious notes from two different sources. So one of them is an article in the LA Times in their art news section.
Ooh, they're not going to like it.
Yeah, it's called Joker's /Act, an Artless Endeavor. So they kind of set up, what this scene is all about. And then, so they describe the scene. We don't need to do that because we all know what the scene is. And then it says, but when Ron Haver, who heads the County Museum of Art's film department, saw Batman for the first of 3 times, his jaw went crashing to his chest. Though he otherwise loved the film, and these are in quotes, Batman in quotes, and loved in quotes, the film, its museum scene is socially irresponsible and sets a dangerous example, he said. There are so many nuts out running around that could easily be influenced by a combination of a Jack Nicholson and Joker, said Haver, observing that audience members at one theater he attended hooted gleefully every time that a painting was destroyed.
Really?
Anti-heroes are powerful symbols to, listen to this, subliterates. Even if the scene arouses one person to try to emulate the actors and one masterpiece is defaced, it has done a disservice.
What? Nobody ran out and did this, did they? We need to look this up now. Find an article of this happening even once. Cause of Batman.
If you do that, then that's the same. You might as well just say, well, who's to stop someone been influenced into like poisoning a city of people by tampering with cosmetics products? It's like you have to take the gamble of like, well, it's if you're gonna go down that road, you can't do anything.
And then calling people subliterate, I thought was really cruel.
That's horrible. And you've got to think as well, though, Niall, like with this whole influencing thing. I mean, people did think that was a big deal, back with the old video nasties and stuff.
Yeah, right.
That's why they were a thing, because they were like, they're going to influence people to kill. No, they're not. Don't be stupid.
Yeah, so I just thought that was worth mentioning. I thought it was so funny. And then another person who kind of has a different take, and I'll just do a short version of what she's a art history major, and she just writes this whole thing about, and let's see, it's so pretentious, it's just ridiculous. The museum scene functions to reinforce Joker's status as villain. However, his interactions with various works of art in the museum serves to expose the unconscious boundaries of the film viewer, that they have been socially inscribed. And then they go on to say, basically, as he, adds swaths of paint and his signature and such, that this could all be, viewed from us as a new take, that he is, making new art, and that we're all taking in this experience of his new expression over the old art. So,
well, I mean, that is a thing you can do. I mean, if you actually think about David Bowie did a similar thing with his album. Oh, it's right behind me, and I can't even remember what it was called. The one before Black Star. The next day, he took the cover of Heroes and put just a big white box over it, over the face and everything, and that's the album cover. He's basically deliberately he's ruined it. That's the cover.
Right.
So it's a similar approach. He's going over it and making new art from art. So it's pretentious, but there's a point. I like that.
Yeah, there is a point to it. I think that the way the article was written, and I definitely didn't want to, just read and read and read and read, but just their, I guess, putting upon us that they know what experience we are having as viewers, that we are now transported to view. I mean, we're talking about things that we glimpse for, half seconds here. I don't think we really get an opportunity to see what he may have transformed these into. The longest we see is maybe just him writing Joker was here.
Well, yeah. I mean, as a viewer, we're mostly just sort of laughing, like, oh, this is crazy, and we're rocking out to some Prince. Yeah, we're not kind of thinking about it too much like that.
I will have to say, though, because I've the minute paused here, because it took my eye. Because going back, we're talking about the give him a shave bit with the Lincoln portrait. Right. And I've noted in the corner of the screen, just for a split second, you see Bob. Once again, the notebook's out, and he's writing that down.
What?
So I think
he must be chronicling.
I think it is. It's just like the Joker must have said to him at some point, write down everything I say. Like, so when people ask, they'll know this is exactly how it went down.
Well, I have a question, though, about Joker was here. Well, not a question, more of a point I've noticed. Because he graffitis that on the painting, like he's a teenager or something. But I thought for full teen effect, it should be ear. E-R-E, because kids always do that on the bus. It'd be like, Dan was ear.
Yeah, but that's your modern day kids, John. But kids back in the day, they were a bit more careful with their grammar, But
well, yeah,
it was a better time for. For
Is that a British thing, the ear
Could
thing?
be.
Because I mean, we don't. I mean, I don't. I don't do any graffiti, but I don't see it saying ear here.
Yeah.
Maybe right cheer. Maybe
That'd be great too. Yeah,
Joker was right cheer.
That'd be great.
But I should look because I've got information here on that very painting. Because imagine with Tim Burton being like an artist, like he's a guy, he knows his artwork. He's an artsy-fartsy type. So I imagine he probably did put like effort into thinking which paintings are going to be seen. The one the Joker writes Joker was here on. Because I have to say too, if that's Jack Nicholson, it's well done in the fact that like that's one dab of paint. He gets that entire sentence out. Doesn't need to go redip. And it's just like, it's fluid. It's just like, oh, that's so well written. That's great handwriting for like the paint on something. It's like, I couldn't do that because you're not used to doing it. Maybe they got in a guide to be like, yep, you have to get just to make the writing look legible.
Very well could have done because you don't see anything but the hand.
Yeah. And I love the addition as well. That they did think to do it. Of like, you see his gloved hand, but you do see the white skin of his wrist. So like, there's attention to detail. They did think about that. But this train is this painting, sorry, is Edward Hopper's Approaching a City from 1946. A lot of people would know Edward Hopper did Nighthawks, is the infamous thing of the guy sitting around, or the people sitting around a diner at night.
Oh yeah.
But and they're kind of saying the fact that he's writing on, it's a picture of a train decelerating as it approaches the city. And it's kind of like, well, this is just saying this is like the arrival of the Joker now, that it's a train slowing as it pulls into a stop. And then it's the fact that he's writing it on the wall of the train tunnel. So it's like, that's where you would put your Joker, is your ear or right cheer or whatever way you want to go with it. And there's actually a specific quote from someone who said, Jerry Mann said, it's pretty funny that the Joker graffitied on the tunnel wall of the painting made it more realistic if you think about it, because how many clean train tracks do you ever really see? It's like,
yes, I don't recall ever seeing one.
It's also so some people there are the art critic types have said that there's a deliberate sort of desaturation of color in this painting because it's supposed to be, rather than approaching a city, new challenges and new hopeful things, it's more like it's supposed to be conveying the uncertainty of someone approaching a new destination, so they've muted everything. And the fact that the Joker is putting in a very flamboyant purple, Joker was here, is again sort of a testament that like he's giving this town an enema, this grimy, dirty, run down, cesspool of a city. Now it's going to get a blast of color because the Joker is here now, and that kind of thing. So
could use a bit of that, to be honest. Yeah,
for sure.
You can fault his methods, but maybe not all of his goals.
Yeah.
Some of his goals are noble.
We also had beforehand Richard Strange again doing. I loved it. He walked over to another painting that is his little paint kit in like this flamboyantly pink little thing he's carrying with him, like a kind of wooden. I don't know what you would call it. Really, it's like some paint can carrier or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure it has a name among the art world, but yeah, I have no idea.
And but I love that he stops in front of a painting and he kind of does almost like a fawn's hey, kind of like he puts out the hands to it, like, oh, I'm gonna get to work here. It actively reminded me of like the beginning of Happy Days when like the Fonz is like doing his hair in the mirror and then he's about to do his hair and then he kind of stops and goes like, hey,
right. Hey, it's perfect. Yeah.
But
they probably thought that's a reference that'll never date. But I'm pretty sure if we have young listeners, I don't know if we do, I'm pretty sure they have no idea who that would be now. But we've moved on in the world. Nobody knows anyone for more than a year anymore.
But I know, because then again, you see later on, that same goon painting the picture pink, like, well, with his pink paint that he has in his pink paint can carrier or whatever it is.
Jesus, that was a mouthful.
His paint tote.
There you go.
Tote, yes.
But the painting he's going for is Two Dancers on a Stage by Edgar Degas from 1877. And it, don't know why I said 77 in that weird way.
I was going to ask about that. That's staying in.
Apparently it's just a depiction of a ballet rehearsal from the privileged position of someone in a box. So again, it's like, oh, this is like the Joker tearing down the upper crust. But then one of the art critics says that the painting of the dancers gives them snub noses and simian features to suggest lower class. Which apparently the Degas was a fan of physiognomy, and he thought that this is like an indication of that they're lower class, is to make them look a bit more simian. Which is, but then that kind of ruins it. Well, it's the Joker. I guess he's taking out everybody. I guess so. If this is like, oh, it's the painting of the upper crust watching a ballet rehearsal, but then these are lower class ballerinas, and he's like, oh, everyone. Although again, that could be just totally me reading way too much into that, and it might have just.
That's the point of this show now. Yeah. We're supposed to be doing that.
One other thing I will note, though, and the Joker was here as well. I think I meant to bring it up at another time. But if you guys can see, if you pause that as well, is cufflinks, are they playing cards? Or is that just me going crazy?
Right.
Let me look here. Get back to it.
I think they are playing cards. I've never noticed before, and I didn't see it mentioned in books or anything like that, or even the commentary, nothing.
Yes. It's like they're slightly splayed out, like 4 or 5 cards.
Yeah, because it makes sense that, of course, the Joker would have playing card cufflinks, but it's I think I did notice it in another minutes. I think when he was cutting up the pictures, and I forgot to mention it then. So now it's like, there we go. It's a prime opportunity to bring that up again.
I mean, I don't have much about the paintings other than what you've said, to be honest. But I did have one thing from the original '86 draft, because the Joker, he does slightly different to what happens here. He spies Edvard Munch's The Scream, and says, "I kind of like this one. Leave it."
Yeah.
He doesn't want to ruin The Scream.
Oh, that's we kind of replaced that with the Francis Bacon one, and then in the next minute, yeah.
I wonder why the change.
Well, it might have been a Tim Burton thing, because he would know art more. He could have been like, I think this one would work better. I think this is saying more about what's going on. But though we have to postulate exactly what he was saying in that next one, that's the next minute. So I guess we'll have to save that for then, really.
Plus, I think the scream's probably just a bit overdone.
Yeah.
Everyone's seeing it. You're probably bored of seeing it. And why would the scream be here? Is it? Why would it not be in any other art gallery in the world? Why in Gotham? Why are half of these paintings here? This is the best art gallery ever.
Yeah, because I know in the original script as well, it's I think they really ingested this a bit more with a bit more life in as they were filming it, because I think it's one of the scripts says that it's just black paint they're throwing up. It's just like, just black paint. That's not very jokery. And then I think one of them, there's another draft as well where he's just slicing up the pictures and kind of carving smiles into them. It's like, I get that, but like, this whole thing is specifically referencing something as well that I'm saving for the next minute.
No.
But this seems way more, I think all the scripts as well, it's just like, they rise and this happens. There's no mention of them dancing around or anything. I think this is a bit more like, no, this scene needs a bit more oomph and a bit more vibrancy about it and whatnot.
They pulled it off because, to me, this is perfection. It's kind of really unlike Tim Burton in some ways, but then it's so much fun. It captures that element of his personality, which people always miss out on. So I think he has injected a bit of himself into this, at least, even if the studio maybe told him this is happening.
But yeah, because in terms of the action, we get, again, the bust of what we're... I guess, are we just kind of saying, yeah, I guess it's Caesar? It'll make sense if it's Caesar, because he's painting the new king in town, painting Caesar to look like the Joker.
Right.
I mean, I've seen a few different Caesars, though. That's the problem. He's always depicted differently. There's obviously the very famous older-looking Caesar. In fact, I saw one at an art gallery last week with an older Caesar. And then, of course, there's all the emperors after that. So it could be any of these. But I think that's the kind of thing it's going for, isn't it? It's a Roman emperor of a thing.
And notably, it's because it's Mac McDonald doing the action here, looking like he's having a great old time. Despite the listeners will know by now, apparently Mac and Jack Nicholson had a bit of friction. Got on well enough here. But I did notice as well in terms of the design and the background, because again the windows as well, it looks very almost like church-like as well. I wonder if this was another kind of thing of like, yeah, they're coming in and trashing an art gallery, but it also kind of looks like a church. Like they're tearing down all the big establishments, like all the sacred cows are in danger when the Joker's around, like that kind of thing. But
that sounds like a great lyric in itself, now.
But yeah, and then we got a brief shot of the goon Terrence. But again, that's all stuff we can talk about next time, because this scene, we get another whole minute of Partyman, so...
oh, yes, Partyman.
Yeah.
I'm going to play it as soon as we finish recording. That's going on. On loop.
I guess so now, because we're like, this is the Friday episode. Do you two have any more notes you want to bring up about this specific minute, or...?
I think I've covered everything that I'd noted.
Okay. John, you...
No, I just want to get off the mic so I can put Partyman on, so I'm going to head off into the dark, dark night.
Yeah. While you're here, Heidi, we might as well give you the floor for a bit, because I know you talked about your history of the film, with the film, last minute, but is there anything else you want to say about, Batman, or Tim Burton, or Jack Nicholson? You have the floor now to speak your piece about anything that's in the film.
Well, I don't know if I really have anything else particular to the film. I just would say that I'm really enjoying listening to your podcast. And to me, that's the thing, is that when you can really enjoy a movie a lot more because of what the podcast hosts bring. And you guys really bring a lot of, your personalities and sense of humor and your just your life experiences. And that's what, besides all the research, it's really you guys that bring me to, listen. And so, thanks for having an awesome podcast.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Heidi. That was lovely. Your checks in the mail for saying that as well.
That
Shut
is
up.
Unsolicited.
Don't tell everyone. But sadly, that is it. That's it for the week. And that's it for Heidi on the show for now. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen in the future? Oh, you'll have to stay tuned. We might do an All-Stars thing. We'll have people back.
Plus, if not then, at least for Batman Returns, have you got some opinions about Danny DeVito and Michelle Pfeiffer? Heidi, get them ready.
Yes, I will. I'll be primed and prepped and ready.
Well, before you head off into that dark night, although it's much earlier in the day for you over there, would you like to tell the good folks where they can find you and your podcasts and whatnot?
Yeah, you can actually find everything at HeidiBennett.com. So I have a little, section on my website that is the podcast section. So that'll link you to Spinal Tap Minute and Cabin Minute Cast about the cabin in the woods, and then any other stuff I've got going on. So just go to Heidi Bennett. That's HeidiBennett.com, and you can see what's going on with me.
Hey, good stuff, good stuff. Make sure to check it out. And come over to our Facebook page for lots of Bat Chat. We are at the Batminute89 Listeners Society. And we are also on Twitter at Batminute89. And rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. That's the most important thing. Make sure you do that. Even if you ignore us on all the other things, do that. And we will love you until the end of our days. And make sure to join us again next week, because we will be back on Monday with a new guest and minute 61 of Bat Minute 89.
Next time, fiendish frolics, as some villainous vandals savage more vintage valuables, which maudlin meat and monarch-based masterwork will meet the mercy of the maniacal Mikado of murderous merriment? Find out next week. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.